Sunnah is the second after the Quran the most important source of Islamic doctrine and practice, which is an example of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It includes his words, actions, approval and qualities transmitted through reliable hadiths. The Sunnah serves as a leadership for Muslims, explaining and complementing the verses of the Quran, as well as demonstrating how to apply divine commands in everyday life. Without a Sunnah, many aspects of Islam would remain unclear, because the Quran often gives general principles, and the Prophet peace and blessings be upon him showed how to embody them. For example, the Quran says about the need for prayer, but the details of its commission, the number of rociators, the time of prayer, the procedure, we will learn from the Sunnah. The Sunnah is divided into three types: the words of the Prophet call, his actions films and silent approval to Syria. When the associates did something or said in his presence, and he did not mind, it also became part of the Sunnah. The importance of following the Sunnah emphasizes in the Quran itself, where Allah says, "Whoever obeys the messenger is obeying Allah." 4-80. Also in another verse it is said, "Take what the envoy gave you, and shy away that he forbade you." 59-7. This directly indicates the mandatory example of the Prophet peace and blessings be upon him. The Sunnah was preserved thanks to the efforts of associates and scientists who carefully checked the transmitter's ads and the content of hadiths to separate reliable messages from the weak and fictional. Collections such as Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim are considered the most authoritative, since their compilers used strict selection criteria. However, Sunnah is not just historical notes, but a living leadership that is relevant at all times. It covers all spheres of life: faith, worship, morality, family relationships, trade, etiquette and even medicine. Following Sunnah is a manifestation of love for the Prophet peace and blessings be upon him, because Allah says, "Say, if you love Allah, then follow me, and then Allah will love you." 3:31. Muslims seek to imitate him in the little things. In the manner there is, dress, speak, show patience and mercy. But it is important to understand that the Sunnah is not just mechanical copying, but a conscious following of its path taking into account context and wisdom. Scientists distinguish between different degrees of suns. Some actions are mandatory sunnah muakkada, others are desirable mustahab, and some are simply acceptable. Unfortunately, in our time some people neglect Sunnah, considering it secondary or even rejecting its significance. However, this is a dangerous delusion, because without a Sunnah Islam loses its fullness. Others, on the contrary, overly complicate its execution, falling into extremes. The true path is following the Sunnah in accordance with the understanding of the righteous predecessors Salafs, without excesses and omissions. The Prophet peace and blessings be upon him said, "I left two things among you, and if you hold them, you will never fall into a misconception: the Book of Allah and my Sunnah." Thus, the Sunnah is an integral part of Islam, without which it is impossible to correctly understand the religion. She connects Muslims with their Prophet peace and blessings be upon him, recalling his high morals, wisdom and mercy. Following Sunnah is the path to the contentment of Allah and spiritual perfection, and its study and application is the responsibility of each believer. May Allah will help us to hold on to the Quran and Sunnah and follow the feet of the best of people, the Prophet of Muhammad peace and blessings be upon him.